I'm going to show you how to set up and do the Strings and Living Things lab at home. So at home you need one about 4-meter length of something. If you have string, that's probably the easiest and the best, but if you don't have string at home, because some people don't, yarn is great. So see if somebody who knits or crochets has some yarn laying around. Or even thread will work. It's not quite as good. It's going to be hard to see the markings on the thread, but if this is what you have, it's what you have. You can use floss. So you need about 4 meters of floss, and a thing of floss has 40 meters, so you need 4 of the 40 in a floss. So you can use floss. You can even use rolled up toilet paper. So you can take the toilet paper and roll it up so you make it into a string. So that might be the cheapest option and the most convenient. Make sure you have a little extra toilet paper. Toilet paper rolls are really long, and so 4 meters is not very long part of toilet paper. So you could use that. Okay, so you also need some markers and you need a ruler. So if you have a ruler, there's my ruler. Sorry, had my arm in the way. So I have a little ruler. You can use a bigger ruler. If you don't have a ruler, I have a ruler for you on a PDF. So you can open up the PDF and you can look at the ruler on the PDF. You don't actually need to print if you don't have printer paper or ink. But if you can print, that's great. If you don't print, that's okay too. So let me show you how. So on our paper, now you have yours electronically. You can print it if you want or just type on it electronically. There's no need to print this. We're under where we have the materials, a 4-meter piece of string, yarn, thread, floss, rolled up toilet paper, a ruler. So if you have a ruler at home, if not, open the PDF of the ruler. A permanent markers are okay. Permanent if you're using floss because it's waxy and we want to make sure the marker stays. 2 small rocks or other heavy objects for outside. And iSeek app on your phone, but that is optional. Now, it's really cool and recommended though. So it's free. So when you go to the App Store, whether on an iPhone or an Android, and you download Seek, S-E-E-K, and when it opens, it will identify the plants that you see and even the animals, if you see any animals, right there instantly on your phone. It's really great. If you don't have access to a phone and can use Seek, then you can make up the names for the species outside, and I'll show you how to do that. So the first thing you're going to do for here, marking the string. So number 1, using a ruler, mark a piece of string or alternate item every 10 centimeters with 1 color of marker. So if I'm just going to use string, I can pick any color. I can pick a black Sharpie or a black regular. I have orange markers here. So I'm just going to start with black, and every 10 centimeters I'm going to make a line. So here's my ruler. I'm going to put it on my string like here, okay? So that's 10 centimeters. Then I'm going to measure another 10 centimeters and mark it again. Okay. And then another, etc. All right, using that. Once you get to 100, which is a meter, it's easiest if you change the colors, because when we're outside using these, it will be easier to write things down when you know that every 100 centimeters is a different color. So I might put this in pink, that is 100 centimeters, so it's my 1 meter mark is 100 centimeters. Okay. If you're using floss, Oh, and so you're going to have 4 meters, so 400 centimeters. And so you're going to put a different color at the 100 meter, the 200 meter mark, the 300 meter mark, etc. If you're going to use the PDF of the ruler, so let me flip this around. I'm here at my desk at home, and you can see the PDF of the ruler. The important thing here is that your screen is not zoomed. So on Google Chrome, if I go up here to the top right corner, and I can see that here it says zoom is 100%. I know you can't see it on the screen very well, but it says zoom is 100%, and that's really important on the PDF so that you have the right scale. And when this PDF is zoomed at 100%, these centimeters actually match what's on the ruler. They line up perfectly, so you can use it just on your computer. So you can take your piece of string and you can do the same thing, measuring it on the PDF. So you don't need to print if you don't have a printer and you don't have a ruler. Another thing you could do is you could print out the whole thing and then tape it together. You can even print out 4 of these and make a 4 meter long one of these if you prefer. You're going to have to cut it out and tape it. So that process isn't going to take you any less time than marking it on the string. So you can either print 4 of these, cut them out and tape them, or use the string method. You don't have to have a printer. You can use it on your screen on the PDF. One thing, a little trick, if you print this, Google does not print it correctly. You have to do more settings. So I found this out that it doesn't print to the exact right measurements automatically. So I had to click more settings, and I had to click fit to printable area because the default did not print it correctly. So I had to fit to printable area, and then it printed it in the correct measurements. Once you have that made, we're going to go outside and we're going to use the quadrats outside. So you need to find a place that gives you about a 4 meter length to measure. You can do a front yard, you can do a backyard, you can do the park. If you live in an apartment or condo, there's usually some planters outside, so go to the planters outside. So anywhere you can go outside to measure is best. Do not choose lawn for this part. We'll do lawn later. All right, I'll see you outside. All right, so what I've decided is I'm going to lay my transect string over here because actually it's the most convenient place to set up a camera on my iPad and show you what I'm doing. So that's the reason I picked that place. So I couldn't find any rocks in my yard, so I found these 2 little candle holders that are going to weight down the ends of the string. So I'm going to weight down over here, and then I'm going to pull the string across all the way down here. Okay, try and get it to the ground as best you can. Sometimes it's hard to get it flat on the ground if they're a little pokey. Choose a place without venomous stinging plants. Like I just caught my head on a rose bush, so don't do that. No, if you see any dangerous things like bees or black widows or anything like that, stay away. Choose a different area of your yard. So now I'm going to weight down the other end. Okay, the other end is off the video. Now I have my paper. So for you, you probably don't have your computer outside and you don't necessarily want to print this. So just get a piece of scratch paper and you can write the data on the scratch paper. But what we're looking at is on the second page where you're going to do your data. Now, as I go along, some things I know the names of. So over here, I'm going to start on this end because it's in the view of the camera. You can start on the other end if you want. Doesn't matter. And so I know the very first thing here is a rose bush. And so let me get the centimeter mark. It's actually on the first marker, so that I know is every 10 centimeters. You might have to estimate in between because I didn't want you to make 400 centimeter marks, so we did it every 10. So you'll estimate if it falls in between. But I know at the 10 centimeter mark, because I can see it on my string, I have roses. Now, roses are all one kind of species. But if you don't know that, that's okay. So over here you can put red rose. Down there you can put purple rose. It's fine. But they really are actually the same species. They're different breeds of roses, but they're all the same species. Okay, now you want to get species that are exactly on the string. So over here, I have a plant that's on the string, and it's at the 25 centimeter mark. And I just pulled it out so I can show you. Now, I'm not quite sure what this is. I think it's purslane, but that's because I'm a biology teacher and I know these things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to identify it with my Seek app. So I'm going to press the camera button on the Seek app, and it says some safety precautions like don't touch wild animals and don't touch stinging plants and things like that. So I'm going to press continue, and I'm going to hold it up, and hopefully it identifies it. It's not, here it is, Japanese clover. So I was wrong, it's not purslane. So I know that this is Japanese clover. So I'm going to go ahead and write it here. It was at 25 centimeters, and it was Japanese clover. My area here looks challenging because it looks like there's so many weeds I'm going to be writing forever, but you only want to write the ones where the string hits it. If it's 3 inches to the side of the string, you don't have to count it. So only where the string hits do you actually do the species. So it's not going to be everywhere on here. I know that some of these are crabgrass. So the string hits crabgrass at 50 centimeters. And I see another thing of Japanese clover at about 53 centimeters. So you can estimate in between. Again, you can record your data on a separate sheet of paper and then take it in and type it on your Google Docs. So you don't necessarily have to print anything, but you can print if you want to. So I'm going to go down the row and I'm going to do my 4 meters here of a transect. When I'm done, all right, so I'm going to turn the camera around. So remember, if you don't have the Seek app, you can make up a name. So that one that said Japanese clover, you can call it little long leaf plant. So you can make up names if you don't want to use the Seek app. So now I'm going to take my string and I'm going to go over for the next part where we're going to make a quadrat. Now my lawn is pretty weedy, so that's actually kind of nice. So I'm going to take the string, let me get in the shade so we can see things a little better. And you'll notice there's a lot of fallen leaves here above my swing because the trees. We don't want the leaves aren't a plant growing there, but you can mark it down as leaves if you want to, because that's part of an ecosystem. So we're going to take our string, and I'm trying to do this with one hand, so it's a little bit harder. But we're going to make this into a square as best we can. If it's more of a circle shape, it's not that big of a deal. So we're going to make this into a square as best you can. This is another way we count species that are closer together. There we go, like that. So in here, I'm going to estimate some percent cover. So there's probably 4 different items in here. I have regular grass. I have dandelion weeds in here. So right here is the dandelion weed. I also have clover. So some of this is clover, and I know what the clover looks like, and you can ID it if you don't know what it is. And so here's my clover, here's my grass, here's a dandelion, and then I also have fallen leaves as well. You're going to estimate the percent cover. So in here, the grass is kind of sparse. It's in a shady spot, so the grass doesn't grow very well here. I would estimate in this quadrat that the grass cover is maybe 50%, and the clover might be 30%, and there's some bare areas, so that might be 20%. So now I'm at 100, and I forgot my dandelion, so it looks like I overestimated the grass. So maybe grass is more like 40%, bare areas 20, clover is 30, and dandelions are 10%. The fallen leaves are on top of that, so you can just make kind of an observation note on top of that. So it's your best estimate. It's not perfect. If we were to do this for scientific data, we would take our meter square and we would put lines down the middle and we would count much more accurately. But for today, that's just an estimate, and that's how you're going to do the quadrat part.